Yo, what's up everybody? This is Eric Okunomu, or Eric Okuns for short, and welcome to Chapter 2 of Know Thyself by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Oh, good intro, boy. Okay, to get things started off for the Chapter 2 review, I'll just go ahead and read the title of this chapter, which is The Definition of Self. And Chapter 2 focuses on different concepts and aspects of the self, like our ancestral self, our personal self, other types of selves, and just how we're all one big collection of an entity or a spirit, as some would say, and just how that spirituality is intertwined heavily with people in the African American community. So Dr. Akbar still talks about in this chapter about how our miseducation has led to a lot of our shortcomings within this life and how we're not tapping into our full potential. And a lot of this is based upon our upbringing and our culture and just our influences, and that can be through personal social circles or the environment, the schools, the institutions we put ourselves in. All of that is molding the type of person we are becoming, how we are maturing, and just how we continue just to go through life and how we interact with others in the environment around us as well. So to get things started off, I already have some questions prepared. Shout out to all the pair. So my first question is, why is it sometimes difficult for us to have balance between our mind, body, and spirit? I feel like some of us aren't even presented with the idea of doing the intentional groundwork that we need to do on ourselves. And all of that still can even be traced back to Chapter 1 with self-knowledge and knowing and understanding yourself, understanding your roots and where you come from, and questioning or having a better understanding of why you do the things you do, or why your family is a part of this type of tradition, or why do we choose to celebrate these holidays. Sometimes I feel like from a young age, you don't really question those things because as an adult, you see them as a superior figure. So whatever our parents or our guardians are telling us, we tend to internalize those things and see it as good and true. So sometimes I feel like why it can be difficult to balance those things is there's just so much overlapping of social circles. Essentially, I feel like a lot of it does come back to willpower as well, because let's just say, for example, I was raised in a Christian household and we followed our own sets of customs and traditions, but I could have met a friend later down the road who was raised in a completely different household. They were practicing other forms of religion or other forms of custom. So once my friend and I, once we start to intermingle a little bit more, we start to learn more about ourselves and like the differences between each other. That's where contradictions can sometimes seep in. And sometimes when we're confronted with new information that opposes our original thoughts and viewpoints, it can cause cognitive dissonance. Sometimes cognitive dissonance can even cause people to shut down, or maybe they're just getting too impulsive within their brain, like, oh, this could be right, this could be wrong, this, that. And that can cause people just to shut down or have a lack of action followed up with how they're feeling at that certain point in time. One big aspect that I feel we can all do a better job on is still just being intentional and taking that action, if that's educating ourselves on different topics or learning more about ourselves and our history. Okay, question number 2. What personal experiences did you have at a young age that negatively affected your personal self and your view of self? And did some of those incidences lead to negative habits that have just been built up over time? So I feel like my answer to this question is gonna be very similar to other people's perspective as well. But my answer to that question is getting bullied in school. So shout out to everybody who played a part in completely obliterating my confidence from a young age. Thanks. No, I'm just kidding. Because truth be told, I'm not gonna lie, I was a very, very sensitive kid growing up. And I'm still pretty sensitive today. Like, I'm still trying to work at it and get more assertive, but I can't help who I am.
But I'm not a weenie. I'm sorry, sir, but my sensors indicate that you are indeed a weenie.
Because I personally feel like that's just life. Like, everybody, even from a young age, gets talked about. Oh, look what you wearing, all this, getting flamed, roasted, all that stuff. And those feelings had such a negative effect on my self-esteem, my confidence. So just having those feelings really made it more difficult for me to interact with people, because I felt like, oh dang, they probably don't want to be my friend, or oh, they know I'm a loser and this and that. I just saw my self-worth being really low, if I can put it into words now. Because of course our personal self is all about our experiences and the habits that we develop. And of course we're at school full time, 40 hours a week, and add more to it if we're counting in homework or extracurricular activities. If I'm always surrounded by people who always tend to make fun of me, pick on me, this and that, that's gonna have a super negative effect on my personal feelings and viewpoint of myself, my worth, and my esteem, because I'm constantly being surrounded or bombarded with those jokes that are pretty hurtful. And like I said, I knew looking back, I'm like, wow, I was really sensitive, but those words still hurt people. And we can even see in today's day and age why cyberbullying is such a big deal. Suicide rates going up. A lot of this still relates back to what I was saying earlier with our upbringing and who we surrounded ourselves with the most in family. So if somebody was born into a family where they really didn't value respect or being nice to people or don't talk about people or don't shame people, they're gonna act however they want to act because they're picking that up from within their household. So they're bringing in some of what I feel is that toxic nature into this institution where other people are now susceptible to getting made fun of or getting treated like how that person was being treated within their household. Now they're kind of displacing some of that energy on their classmates, their teachers, maybe they're just wilding out. And I feel a lot of that stems back to how we're treated within our own personal household or whoever we're surrounded by the most, or just within what influences us the most. Looking back in hindsight, if I saw more figures and role models who look like me, how they had so many major accomplishments and so many great contributions to their society and their community, could have helped with my confidence within school and made me feel like I was smarter and see myself as worth way more than how I thought of myself at that time. And that could have really instilled within me so much more confidence and charisma at a young age. But the third question is, why is it important for us to have a general knowledge and understanding about ourselves and our history? Just wrapping everything up, seeing our worth, seeing our gifts and our talents can literally pay dividends for us in the future, especially if we're exposed to that at an early age and we're put within a certain environment that is conducive for us bringing out feelings of just confidence, charisma, seeing your self-worth, seeing the value you bring to the table. Students really need to be exposed to that type of information at an early stage so they can already start to have that feeling of, wow, I bring value to whatever I'm doing. I bring this confidence, I have purpose, I have a vision and goals for myself, and that can catapult them to wanting to aspire to do great things in their future, for their communities, and essentially for themselves, because self-knowledge really needs to be at the root of education. Learning about ourselves so we can grow and we can continue to add to the great legacy of people who have paved the way for us. Okay, so the next part of this video is gonna be my favorite quote from chapter 2. One component of being miseducated is the consequence of seeing oneself only as an economic animal, a victim of a certain socioeconomic environment, or even just seeing oneself as a consequence of a set of particular habits taken from early childhood experiences or within the household. We need to explore and discover our special gifts that give us unique tools for accomplishing our larger goals. We have gifts of physical strength, artistry, or even intellectual capabilities that we all need to tap into. So of course what this means to me is, once again, just being intentional about what we say we are doing and what we want to do. We are more than just a means of making a group or a certain person more money through us working jobs or just us thinking that we're only here to make a certain amount of money and then that's it. Dr. Akbar really drives home the point within this chapter that we are spiritual beings and spiritual creatures, and we are worth way more than just our job description or working for the biggest, fanciest organization or corporation within the world. We all have so many special, unique talents and gifts that we need to be tapping into to unleash our full potential so we can continue to advance our society and our community. And it's just so unfortunate, of course, due to systemic and institutionalized racism and discrimination, that a lot of people don't have the opportunity or privilege of being able to tap into their potential, even though everybody on this planet was born with special gifts and talents. So that's why I feel like it's just so important for us who still have the opportunity to dive into our potential and become better versions of ourselves to go out and just do that. Go out and put into action, put in the intentional work on yourself so we can all be better functioning members of society We can all treat each other better. We can all see the worth and value within ourselves, so we don't need to get talked about or bullied or putting people down. So we can all just become stronger and more resilient, and we can shape a better future. And so there it is, y'all. Chapter 2 review of Know Thyself by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Once again, great read. Please strongly consider picking up this book. And yeah, stick around for chapter 3 that we'll dive into next week. Let's all continue to play our part and educate ourselves about ourselves so we can make a better community.